Billionaire CEO panics when a $7 million system is hacked. Then a waitress walks in and fixes it in seconds. What if the one person who could save your million-dollar restaurant wasn't a tech expert, but a humble waitress with a secret past? David Porter, the billionaire CEO of the Savory Fork, had spent years building his empire. His restaurant wasn't just any local dining spot. It was an innovation in the food industry. By integrating cutting-edge technology into every aspect of the dining experience, from automated reservations to smart kitchen systems, David's restaurant had quickly become one of the most talked-about establishments in the city. Tech-driven dining was the future, or so David believed. The heart of this system was a $7 million setup that controlled every aspect of the restaurant's operations, from ordering to inventory management, payment systems, and even personalized customer recommendations. David poured his resources into building this state-of-the-art system, convinced that it would keep his business secure and ahead of the curve. The system was designed to be unbreachable. No one could hack it. No one could get past its encryption. David sat at his desk in his spacious office, looking out over the bustling restaurant floor. He felt a sense of pride as the aroma of freshly prepared meals wafted through his office. It was a typical busy day. The kitchen hummed with activity. Waitstaff bustled between tables, and everything seemed to be running smoothly. David was reviewing quarterly reports when his phone buzzed. It was Ben, the head of his cybersecurity team. David frowned and opened the message. It read, "David, we've been hacked. The system's compromised. Data exposed. We're working to contain." David's heart skipped a beat. This couldn't be happening. He'd always believed his system was impenetrable. He opened the full message, trying to steady his breath as his heart rate increased. The $7 million system, the core of his restaurant, was under attack. How could this happen? He quickly checked the system diagnostics, and his stomach dropped. Red alerts. The breach wasn't just a small issue, it was a deep compromise. They had access to everything: payments, customer data, kitchen systems, everything. David's mind raced. The security system was supposed to be foolproof. How could someone get past it? Panic surged. He hit speed dial for Ben, but the call went straight to voicemail. David's fingers shook as he dialed again. No response. David stormed out of his office and into the tech room, where the team was already working at full force. The usual buzz of keystrokes was replaced by tense silence. The screens were filled with red alerts and diagnostic warnings. The engineers, usually calm and focused, were frantic. They typed faster, checking the system from every angle, but no solutions appeared. The deeper they tried to go, the more entrenched the hackers' hold on the system seemed. David felt his stomach churn as he looked over their shoulders. Every minute wasted was another minute the hacker had to destroy everything. How long until the system completely collapsed? How long until customers couldn't order food or pay their bills? How long until the data breach became public knowledge and the media came calling? Tom, one of the lead engineers, glanced up at David, his face pale. "David, we've done everything we can, but the system's too deep. We're fighting blind. The hackers smart, they're manipulating the code. The usual methods won't work." David's heart sank. There was no easy fix. The hack wasn't something they could brute force their way through. The hacker knew exactly how to bypass every defense. Time was slipping away. He couldn't afford to fail. Just as David thought the situation couldn't get any worse, the door to the tech room opened. Sarah, one of the waitresses, entered, carrying trays of sandwiches and drinks for the engineers. She had no idea about the high-stakes drama unfolding behind the scenes. But as soon as she walked in, she could feel the tension in the air. The engineers were hunched over their computers, their faces pale with exhaustion. Sarah set the trays down quietly, trying to ease the atmosphere. "You guys look like you could use a break," she said with a warm smile, though it was clear something serious was happening. David turned to her, irritation creeping into his voice. "Not now, Sarah. We're in the middle of a crisis. The system's been hacked." Sarah noticed the flashing red alerts on the screens. She had no formal tech training, but after working at the Savory Fork for a few years, she had picked up a lot about how the restaurant systems worked. She walked over to one of the engineers' desks, eyeing the screens for a moment. She noticed they were just repeating the same cycle of brute-forcing attempts to close the breach. "Maybe you're going about this the wrong way," Sarah said, her voice surprisingly calm. Tom raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "We've tried everything we can. This isn't just a small problem. The whole system is compromised." Sarah's gaze remained steady. "I get it, but I've been in your shoes before." David blinked in confusion. "You have?" Sarah smiled softly, her tone calm yet confident. "I used to work in cybersecurity. I know how these things go. Let me take a look." David's jaw dropped. Sarah, a former cybersecurity expert? He'd always known her as the friendly waitress who kept the restaurant running smoothly. But this was a side of her he never expected. Sarah didn't wait for anyone's approval. She immediately sat down at one of the workstations, her fingers moving quickly over the keyboard. David and the engineers exchanged confused glances. But there was something in Sarah's calmness that made everyone stop doubting her. "What are you doing?" Tom asked, his voice still filled with skepticism. Sarah didn't look up as she typed. "I'm just looking at the problem differently. You're all trying to brute force it. This isn't about overwhelming the system. You need to outsmart the hacker, not fight them head on." David could hardly believe what was happening. Sarah, a waitress, was taking charge of a situation that had sent his best engineers into a panic. But as Sarah worked, he found himself mesmerized by her focus. She typed commands with speed and precision, navigating the system like someone who had been doing this for years. The red alerts on the screen began to fade. The flashing diagnostics were replaced by calm, green status indicators. The system was coming back online. Minutes passed. Time seemed to stretch as Sarah worked, analyzing the code, pinpointing weaknesses, and closing off the hacker's access. Finally, with one last set of keystrokes, she leaned back in the chair. "Done," she said quietly, a small but satisfied smile on her face. David stood frozen, still in disbelief. "Done? How did you do that?" Sarah turned to him, her expression warm but humble. "Like I said, it's all about thinking differently. You were all too focused on brute forcing it. Sometimes you have to take a step back and approach the problem from a new angle." David stared at the monitor. The system, which had been on the verge of collapse, was now fully restored. The hacker was locked out, and everything was running smoothly again. It was nothing short of a miracle. As the engineers began to breathe easy again, the tension in the room melted away. But something else weighed heavily on David's mind. The hacker, the one who had breached the system, so effortlessly, had to know more than just the system's inner workings. David's mind raced. "What's the story behind this hacker?" David asked, his voice strained as he turned to Ben. Ben hesitated before responding, clearly troubled. "David, the hacker, it's someone from our past. It's Jeremy, the former head of cybersecurity. We fired him 2 months ago for performance issues. He knew the system inside and out." David's blood ran cold. He hadn't connected the dots earlier, but now it made sense. Jeremy, fired in a fit of frustration, had threatened to destroy everything. And it seemed he had made good on that promise. He swore revenge. Ben continued. "He said he would hack the entire system and leak the customer data if we ever let him go." David's anger flared. He couldn't believe it. A former employee, someone he trusted, had come back to destroy everything he had worked for. But there was a moment of clarity. David realized that this breach wasn't just about revenge. It was about a lesson learned. David turned back to Sarah, who was sitting quietly, waiting for instructions. He hadn't just found a solution. He had found someone who had brought a fresh perspective to the table. "Sarah," he said slowly, "I can't believe you did this. You saved us today." Sarah smiled modestly. "I just did what needed to be done." David nodded. "You're not just a waitress, are you? You have a real gift. You fixed a system that even our top cybersecurity experts couldn't." Sarah looked down, her expression shifting. "I left the cybersecurity world behind. It was too much, too stressful. But when I see a problem, I can't help but want to fix it." David stood tall, a deep sense of respect flooding over him. "You're right. You have a gift. I need someone like you on my team, Sarah. Not just as a waitress, But as part of the cybersecurity team, I want you to come work for me. You could help me keep this place secure." Sarah smiled softly, a little reluctant. "I don't know, David. I like the peace I have here. I just wanted to be part of something simple." David took a step forward, gently placing his hands on the desk. "I respect that, Sarah, but I'd be foolish to let someone like you slip away. You have a chance to help shape the future of this restaurant and, most importantly, help protect it. Take some time to think about it." Sarah paused, considering the offer. Finally, she nodded, her smile returning. "All right, David, I'll give it a shot. I've always believed in the restaurant. Maybe now I can help you take it to the next level." David smiled. It wasn't just about the technology. It was about finding the right people who brought something different to the table. And in Sarah, he had found a silent savior, someone who could lead the restaurant into the future.